Today we have some emergency news, some last minute news right as the patch has been released. Just for the latecomers, just for the ones who have missed all of this, we're going to bring these news back up just in case they will help some of you who have missed all of this, who are not aware of a few of these helpful things for this 10.2 patch right in the first week, right as the season isn't open, and most you can be worried about right now is being in the open world, doing some kind of grinding of quests, side quests, rep and whatnot. The first bit of help that can be given to everyone who knew about the Darkmoon Fair event and the 10% experience and rep bonus available from the Darkmoon Fair, some of you might have given up because these Darkmoon hats to give you 10% more rep gains take forever to gain. The tickets that you can earn from the Darkmoon Fair take too long to get, so you probably just gave up and said, at best I will be forced to go to the Darkmoon Fair and ride the carousel every hour to give me the rep buff. There is, though, a very simple way to give you 10 Darkmoon Fair hats all at once, which takes you about 15 minutes to get, so that is a pretty good deal. Number one, you have to go to the auction house, no questions asked. Go to the auction house and buy 100 Darkmoon Daggermaw fish. Don't ask why, just buy them. Once you bought them, you can go to the Darkmoon Fair and go to a specific vendor by the end of the Darkmoon Fair by the docks, which will sell you a particular item for the cheap price of 100 of these fishes, the Fated Treasure map. This map will start a quest, the Silas Secret Stash, which will ask you to find 4 different clues. Now, I left the coordinates, in case you want them, down in the description to find all of these 4 clues scattered around the Darkmoon Fair zone. They are pretty simple to find, honestly. Even if you actually just simply read the notes you find that tell you where to go, you could find these clues by yourself as well, but hey, the coordinates make it faster. Once you go around the Darkmoon Fair event and find all of these 4 clues, the 4th and last clue will direct you to the treasure. In this case, a treasure chest sunken next to a sunken ship. To the left of the Darkmoon Fair, there's going to be a sunken ship which you can go to and pick up Silas's treasure. The juicy goodness inside this treasure is going to be 100 Darkmoon Fair prize tickets, which translates to 10 different Darkmoon hats for your character. This is, of course, redoable, repeatable on any character you want, so this can grant you about 10 hats worth of rep on any character you want. So that is the first bit for everyone who was into the whole grinding the rep for the new faction, the Dream Wardens in 10.2. This is an easy way to get yourself a bunch of extra rep without having to do the whole annoyance of going back to the Darkmoon Fair every hour to get the rep gain buff from riding the carousel. Instead, with this, it's much easier and faster with the hats. The other bit of news instead is this thing right here. Amzius, also known as Tama, also known as the man who makes the mega guide for Season 3 and made one for Season 2 as well, and Season 1, also has a pretty helpful WeakAura for you. Once more, for everyone who is busy doing all of the tasks and things you can do this week in the open world, you can pick up this Dragonflight helper WeakAura, which will keep track of basically everything you want to keep track of. You can keep track of the chapters of the stories available that you have completed. It's gonna keep up of, the weeklies you have to complete, all of the chapters of the other quests, as well as the side quests that are left to complete. There are gonna be 9 different side quests, each with a certain amount of quests you have to complete before you finish the side quest. It can keep track of, for example, the daily rares, the 6 different daily rares you can defeat in the Emerald Dream Zone, as well as the treasures, the one-time turn-in treasures you have to pick up in the Emerald Dream. You can choose yourself as well, whichever events you want to have show up in this WeakAura. So once more, for players who are into collecting and finishing all of this open world stuff in this first week, it's a pretty helpful WeakAura to make sure you can navigate around the open world, keeping track of all of the things you have to do on every character, depending on how many you want to play in this patch. This WeakAura is the most complete one in terms of giving you a laundry list of things to do in this patch. It's still worth reminding, at this point I have posted this and linked this multiple times, but we will link this again. The mega guide link, the Google Docs link for the guide itself. You can go and pick whichever thing you want to look at. You can look perhaps at the rep grind guide, whether or not you have double human characters, if you have only one human character, if you have no human characters, this is going to be the guide telling you what you have to go for, depending on the characters you have. You can then also look up things like the loot overview panel with all of the item levels from the Great Vault, the dungeon chest, the boss drop item level, the crafted item level. You can find other things like the Mythic Plus loot table, the loot from every dungeon, depending on the armor type, as well as the secondary stats on the item, with links straight to Wowhead as well. You have the Mythic Plus version as well as the raid version of the loot table, etc, etc. So, one last time, for everyone who has missed this, we're gonna have the link for this guide down below as well. Lastly, this is not as much as a bit of QOL and good tips for the patch, but more so something to be curious about is the link we had a few days ago about the 10.2's sims and the power projection of all of the specs. Now we have the final version almost ready to come out, straight from Ulria's docs, which is going to come out very, very soon. As for now, we still have the 10.2's version of the sims. The new ones, the ones from 10.3, are going to be coming out. Actually is expected for today, but between today and tomorrow, before the beginning of this weekend, we should have the updated sims for the DPS specs as well, for the tier set power, the power infusion, the gain from the 2-piece and 4-piece of last season compared to this season, etc, etc. So I'm also going to leave behind the link for this docs as well, in case you want to check it out to see when it is actually being released, which should be very soon. These, as a whole, are the latest, the very, very latest bits of news right as 10.2 is being released. Now, I have myself a whole bunch of grinding I have to do, so I'm going to leave you to the rest of your 10.2 release. We are starting our goodbyes on this Wednesday by thanking, as usual, all of the dear Patreon supporters for the contribution and help to the growth of the channel, which can, as usual, also be given completely for free. You can like and comment down below, as well as subscribe to the channel itself. Now, with these things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, all of the world quests I will have to do on 2 characters just to get this goddamn fucking rune. I should have just spent gold and bought the consumable one, really.